All right, it's Coach Schuman here for Success for Life podcast. We're going a little different direction than we've gone in the past, but I think it's a pretty exciting direction. I'm here with David Drebin. We are going to talk art, and we're going to talk how you build a business in art. And there's no better person to talk to than that. He marries the world of creative capabilities and keeping that intact at the same time has figured out a way to really monetize it, which a lot of artists don't do, and wait till they die in some cases, and until that happens, right? So we want to be able to become as successful as we can while we're here. Obviously, we want to build a legacy for the future. But David Drebin is a great guy to talk to about it. Welcome to the Success for Life podcast, David.
Thank you.
You're lucky to have a great first name, just like myself. I'm excited to talk to you. Tell everybody your background, as an artist, how you became interested, and really, where you've gone and grown from there.
The thing for me is I've never actually looked at myself as an artist, ever. I've always wanted to express myself and figure out the best way where I could express myself. And I found through being a failure at many other different ways of expressing myself that I actually found photography in the early 90s. And I started making photographs because I loved understanding the images in my imagination that I had to get out and show on actual photographic paper. So I never set out to be an artist. I just set out to get a lot of thoughts out of my mind into the world. And this is an accidental business for me. This was never something that I planned. It just sort of happened after a long period of time. It became a business.
Very, very interesting. So started with an ability to express yourself. Many, many years ago I don't know if you took high school photography class at all, but I took high school photography. And this is a as little known fact as there is about me. The very first photo I took, walking in the parking lot of my high school lot, my photo teacher says, someone may want to take a picture of this. And it happened to be a shovel, okay? Dirt on it. I took a picture of it. That very first picture ended up winning me the state photography, whatever it was in high school, the scholarship and everything like that. And I tried to replicate it. This is why I'm getting to this. I tried to replicate what I did in just a moment of seeing something, and tried to replicate it, and was unable to do it with every single photo after that. But because I went into it when it was presented, and I just looked at it from how I saw it, took the first photo, instead of trying to make the photo. That one I didn't try to make, and everything else ever that I tried to make art never did anything. And the reason why I say it is I identify with that actual process. Like, so when you actually rely on expressing yourself and what is inside of you, it gives you the ability to see something that you may not have seen before. Tell me what you have really tried or come about being able to express within your art and your photography.
It all started with a love and passion for making photographs. I never saw the end. I always saw a camera as a tool to express my imagination. And I didn't take any good photographs for years. And I learned through making a lot of bad photographs how to make an actual good photograph. It's not that easy to make a photograph, a really good photograph, especially when you blow it up, where you can see every single detail. People think it's easy, but it's very detail oriented. And I made a lot of bad work before I made any good work, but I had so much passion through the bad to become great. It goes from passion, being bad, failing, being okay, being a little bit better, being good, and maybe one day being great.
Interesting. And then, so blowing up the photos. So I've seen a bunch of your art, your photos, and they're on a giant scale, right? Some of these photos. When you take an initial, obviously, picture, you're not seeing it through that gigantic lens. It's not how do you begin to visualize what it is, or is that more of a process of I've taken these photos, I try to expand this into something to make it great. Doesn't work out. Let's try this next one. Where's the vision process to the end product?
It's kind of like this. I've got a friend who's a great chef. And sometimes when I go to her place in Malibu, she whips up the most incredible meals with all these different spices and ingredients. And I say to her, how do you do that? And it's natural for her. She's been doing it for so long. She's talking on the phone. She's distracted. It's what she does after years and years and years of loving to cook. It's the same way with making photographs. If you do it again and again and again, it's like walking. It just becomes natural if you constantly do it in a habitual kind of way. But you can't think about the money, and you can't think about how great it's going to be. You just have to love doing it. It all starts from deep desire to produce something. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's great. It's like songwriters, any creative person creating anything has to go through this whole routine and habit of the creative process, which is, I've got a great idea. I don't think it's a great idea. It's a shit idea. This might be a good idea. This is a great idea. And you can't think about the money. You have to think about the passion, and the money will always come if you truly pursue your passion. If you don't think about the money, it's a crazy riddle, but that's what I believe, and that's what's worked for me.
And so there's a lot of different things with respect to passion. So where passion meets practicality, right? You end up having to be able to either make money from it, or there is no money to be made from it. And there are plenty of people who pursue their passion in one way or another and haven't been able to gain that level of success. You have, right? And what are some of the like lessons and principles that you've been able to do? You have all different types of styles of photography you've done, from covers to big gigantic landscapes to, as you call them, like dreamscapes, and from sculptures to neon installations. It's a wide range of things. Where does it all the rub meet the road on that?
Well, I've got a slight power situation. I thought this was being charged and it wasn't. So you got to give me a second to figure this out. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm moving in a whole different direction here. This is going to hopefully work for us. Totally different.
Power is important.
There we go. Now it's plugged in. Hold on.
Perfect.
There. Sorry. So what was your question?
So I said you have a lot of different wide range of stuff that you do, and you attack different things from different angles. Where does that meet the ability, the passion that you have, meet then the ability to get something that becomes sellable? Is it purely all about I see it this way. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
No.
Okay.
This has been a very long journey for me. And I started out as, I always thought I was going to be a waiter. So I worked in restaurants at night and I made photographs during the day. And then I was trying to figure out how to stop being a waiter and to actually get hired as a service for the photographs that I was making in the 90s. And so I would take any gig I could, from doing an event, taking photographs at an event at night, to I was trying to get agents to represent me. I was trying to get magazine work. I was trying to get advertising campaigns. And I went on over 500 interviews with my portfolio before I got my first job. So I traveled all over the world with my portfolio, and I started off as a service. And I realized after years of being a service that I'd rather be the brand than work for the brand. So then I transitioned and I created a product, and I started making lots of photographs in a very limited edition. I found distributors, I found manufacturers, and I found a whole marketing team. And that's how I built this accidental business of building a product with distribution, PR, marketing, and manufacturing. So this all happened by accident over a very long period of time. You know, people talk about 10,000 hours. I've done this for over 10,000 days.
So what's the process? So you went, you had your portfolio, didn't get anywhere. What is the time frame from that process till you start to get your first business related items, stuff that you're starting to get sales in, and then the time from that to building your team, right? So what, give us an idea of how long that took for you, because look, there are artists that hit it from something they put together. There are artists that it takes them a lifetime and they don't do it. They don't get there, right? So you happen to nail a process, whether it's accidental or intentional, right? You nail the process and you were able to capitalize that. What was the time frame from each one of those processes?
Well, for me, I always had a vision and I found my own style. And that's the key, is to have something that can't really be replicated or duplicated, that's kind of unique to you. So I still feel like I'm in the process. I don't feel like I've made it in any way. It's not like it's ever happened. It's an accumulative effect over a sustained period of time, with having the right habits and the right persistence and the right perseverance. There's no there. It's a ongoing, constant process of
Right.
building relationships and developing your own unique voice. That's the key, is people want it too fast. This has been years and years and years of developing my own personal style, and then making sure that the world sees what I create with distribution, marketing, and PR.
What are some of the things that you utilized in distribution and PR that another artist, as they're going through their process, could possibly replicate or learn from?
That's a great question. Well, the number one thing for me is I don't sell my work directly. So you can only purchase my work through galleries all over the world. Because to take your career to a certain level, if you sell your work directly, you'll never be taken seriously. So I'm in the third party validation business. I've got galleries who are representing my works all over the world. And I really realized early on that I never wanted to sell my work directly, and I wanted to go through galleries. So having that third party validation where other people are telling their clients and collectors about their artists, as opposed to you telling people about yourself, was a very big thing. As opposed to, you know, me saying that my work is great, I had other people validating my work who were already reputable. So associating with reputable people in the very beginning was a huge, huge factor, and not selling my work directly. That was probably my best move.
Interesting, because that's a lot of people now. You go to, and you might want to draw that uh a lot of people now try to go to. You may want to just draw that blind a little bit. It's gonna get a little glare.
I kind of like the look, actually. I kind of
Oh, if you like it, oh, you can keep it. There
it was
you.
kind of like one of my pictures.
Yeah.
There, but it's okay. I'm here, I'm back.
That's good. So a lot of people now, like with branding nowadays, right? Everyone's trying to go direct. So I think that's interesting that you use a third party validation as your main focus. Some would argue that, like, that's when you see all the things in branding, like that's kind of contrary to what a lot of people say now. But explain what that third party validation does that is different than if you went direct and you said, "Hey, buy my stuff."
Very simple. If you're affiliated with a gallery in Berlin that represents some of the world's greatest photographers, and they're known as one of the top photographic galleries in the world, and you start working with them early in your career, it gives people the confidence that if that gallery will represent you, then there must be something good about you, because they're taking you on and they have a reputation that they've already built. So while you're building your reputation, it's good to align yourself with people whose reputations have already been built. So for me, it's about aligning myself with galleries in the very beginning that were established that gave me credibility, as opposed to selling my work directly when no one knew who I was.
It's a fantastic
Very
point.
simple shit. It's like this is so simple to me. What's complicated for other people is it's so simple to me. Basically, create a product, align with people smarter than you, better than you, have no ego, think about what you can give to other people as opposed to what you think you can get, and share the pie and maintain and create and water relationships with people that you meet all over the world.
Very interesting. So I think that's a very important point. So aligning with reputable people and businesses that have groups of people like yourself where you want to be, the place that you want to be in the room with, the room you want to be in, you've got to get invited to that party. Getting invited to that party becomes the validation that you belong. Now, as you build that reputation over years and years, then the next question becomes, once you establish your brand from the leveraging component, and is there a maximum that you could reach there where you say, you know what, I've reached that maximum, and you may not be at that point yet, but is there a point where it becomes you've reached that maximum that you could leverage from being a part of somebody else's brand, where you almost say, now I should have my own gallery, or I own the gallery? Is there some sort of transition to that?
No,
Okay.
no. For me, I don't believe in ever selling my work directly. I believe
Okay.
in aligning myself with the best galleries all over the world who've built their reputation, have their collectors, and I believe in having gallery partners as opposed to opening my own gallery. I would never open up my own gallery.
Very interesting.
I want to create the work, and I want to let the galleries sell the work, and they're my partners. I believe you're often better with partners who have a different skill set than you than trying to do everything yourself.
Right.
The end. It's like really obvious stuff.
Now, I think that's a really important point. And again, this goes to a lot of contrary to what you see, like a lot of entrepreneurship, and every business is slightly different. But I think your discussion on validation from a third party is a big component that can actually make you wildly successful, that people don't realize. They're all trying to be this brand, this is me, this is, blah, blah, blah. And they haven't built any equity in the marketplace. And in some industries that it's valid to go off on your own, but if you haven't built equity, it's like a house, right? If you don't build the foundation, then there's no way for you to build the roofing and to be able to build everything in it. It doesn't matter, it comes down, right? So that's a really, really, I think, important point. Okay, I want to transition to something, and I'm not sure how versed you are on this topic. So those of you who are listening, I did not address David about this at all. NFTs, and you're probably familiar with it. At least in the art world, it's something that has gone like this, boom, and then boom. And people are doing it in photography. They're doing it in actual, drawing art, to digital art. Does that fall into any realm for an artist like yourself? Is there something there?
I did NFTs with a top agency in New York, and I worked with the top distributors, and we did really well with the 2 drops that we did.
Okay.
And it just wasn't my passion.
Right.
And I only work with my passion, and I'm not in a quick money game.
Right.
And I found that for me, it was something that I didn't really understand. I tried to wrap my head around it. I did it. I worked with great people again, 5-star people, 5-star distribution too. It's just not my passion. And I only believe in doing things with an emphatic yes or a fuck no.
Right.
That's it. It's either fuck yes or fuck no.
What was the world like? So what was it like? So coming from putting stuff in galleries, right? And then all of a sudden you did a couple of drops in NFT, decided this was not for you. What is that process like versus, look, I can look up online and obviously get a good understanding of what a gallery experience might be like. Obviously, if you don't go, you won't know. And I've been to galleries. Seeing something in person artistically is vastly different to me than seeing it online or even watching on YouTube. If I went to see one of your shows on YouTube, I'd get a little bit of a grasp. But if I went in person, I would see the art and really understand it, right? So explain the differences in that process for people and why that didn't just work for you.
It did work for me.
Okay.
But the thing for me is there's a difference between seeing a person through your phone on FaceTime and shaking their hand and seeing them in person. It really just comes down to that. That's it. So I'm more into art in the physical space. I prefer being with people than FaceTiming them. Like I FaceTimed my mom earlier, which was great, but I would prefer to see her in person
Right.
than the FaceTime. But if we can't be in the same room together, then we'll FaceTime.
Right.
I
Well,
believe in experimenting with all
right.
and seeing what feels right to you. For me, it's all about what feels right in my gut and pursuing it and being self-aware to know what you're good at and what other people are better at than you. So whatever I'm not an expert at with my skill set, I hire and delegate to people. I have over 200 people who work for me all over the world, virtually, who have a skill set that I just don't have. So I utilize other people's skill sets and collaborate with people who are smarter than me so we could all build something together over
Right.
a sustained period of time. And that's how I built my business and that's how I built my brand.
Do you do that with so are you paying those people directly? Are they getting a cut? How does it work to be able to scale that part of the business for maybe emerging artists, right? How would they scale that?
That's a great question. I share my cut with the gallery, and then I have a head of marketing who I pay, who manages all the people who make the content for me. So I pay people in many different ways. And I love to pay people very quickly also. That's a very big thing for me. Is I don't owe anybody any money ever. When I get a bill, I pay a bill immediately. So people love working with me because I'm always paying them. Literally within 1 minute of getting an invoice, I pay people.
That's fantastic.
That's a very big thing for business is paying people in a timely manner, which I always do.
Well, I think it's all about building relationships. So that you build relationships through that capacity. You build trust through that capacity, right? So the next time they have something they want to work with you on, they're able to do that, and you're able to build that trust. All right, well, Dave, this has been great. Tell people where they can find you, where they can find out more about you, how they can find out about your different gallery and your work. Really? And I'm back by myself. So I mean that was a very interesting podcast, totally different take. Hopefully we'll get David back on the show here briefly so we can finish up so we can talk about where people can find him. I believe you can go right to his website, davidschuman.com, to find out more about this guest and others. We'll see you soon. We'll be back later today with another Success for Life podcast. Until next time, this is Coach Schuman, and we'll see you soon. You can find us on all Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, and we'll see more from that. You can visit David and his artwork at davidschuman.com. We will see you real soon. Listen, go to successfullifepodcast.com to find out more.